Welcome back to Local Decision 2020. I'm Rusty Ray. We're joined now by candidate for State House out of District 31B. It is Sue Larson, the Democratic candidate. Sue, thank you for being here.
Most happy to be.
Longtime Ham Lake and longtime business owner in Ham Lake. Tell us more about that.
My husband and I, we have Central Carpet Sales, and it has been in the family. His dad started it in 1958. My husband has worked with the carpet store other than the time that he was in the Army. So he's been sort of a lifer with the carpet store. He knows his carpet.
Is there anything in particular about being a small business owner, a family-run business owner, that you think lends itself to public office?
Yes, because you really know the struggles of a business. We used to have employees. We don't now. We use a shop for installation, and it makes it much easier. It's property tax is always hard to come up with that large sum. You know, oftentimes small businesses do struggle because of that. And we have a good location right on 65, so can't complain about that. You know, you're always looking for strategies to bring customers in, as every business is, but with a small business, you really got to work hard at it.
And I would imagine in any community, but especially perhaps in a place like Ham Lake, you got to work on connections and building that community and building that network to help you get things done and help grow your business.
One of the things I did is I joined the chamber, and I served one term on the board, and that's just a great organization because it gets to know business one-on-one that are around you, and the struggles that they're having are the same struggles that you're having, you know, and that networking is so important.
What do you think the people in Ham Lake and the people in District 31B want to see most happen in St. Paul?
In St. Paul? Probably for people to get along, people to get the whole policing situation taken care of, figured out, something that'll be workable for all people. And then the budgetary concerns, you know, and we have spent, as a state, as each community, so much on the virus, just preparing for keeping up to date on what's needed in that. And that's been real hard on everyone. You know, from the individual, the business, you know, the corporations, and government, whether it's city, township, or the city.
Hard in just a strict economic sense?
Straight economic sense, because, you know, we were shut down for a while. Well, what did that do to people? They couldn't go to their job. Many people were scared of going to the grocery store, and then when you went to the grocery store, you couldn't find what you needed. Or once you had some cleaners and stuff in there, you were limited to one. Take me going shopping for the tenants that I caretake up in Isanti, because I'm a site manager and caretaker for 28 units of senior and disabled. Try to go buy disinfectant. They'll sell you one. So I was finding myself making multiple trips, just trying to provide what I needed to provide.
In exposure to, and when I say exposure, I mean just familiarity and working relationship with that community in particular, did you have any sort of feeling about COVID and any sort of precaution about it that kind of helped you pay attention to their needs and the risks involved there?
Knowing that we had 7 houses with 4 apartments in each, we have 28 units. My first immediate thing is, let's not get the virus here. Let's do the precautionary stuff, get the cleansers that we needed, get the signage that we needed, talk to the people so that they understood that they should limit their contact outside. Many families backed away right away. They didn't want to bring the disease into their mom or dad, and probably rightfully so. So I became the person as the point person. I still pick up prescriptions. I have 6 different places I go to pick up prescriptions. I get groceries for people that still need me to get them groceries. And I do visits If they need to visit me, they call and they say, come see me. I'm scared, I'm lonesome, nobody's here to talk to. I don't speak cat language, that
Right,
type thing,
right.
So I think it's an overall thing. It's the physical needs, it's the emotional needs. And I think that's hit those that can't do a lot for themselves especially hard. And then you get into the family dynamics. We have 5 generations in my household.
In one household?
Yes.
Wow.
And the youngest is a 10-year-old boy a grandson that I'm raising. And last spring, he did well with online school, but he missed his teacher really bad. And he was so happy that last week of school, the teacher come out to the house and did a visit with the lawn chair and the sack lunch, and that was just tremendous. So when it came time for Anoka to start looking at what they're going to do, and the meetings that Anoka Hennepin had and the back and forth conversations. And, it wasn't just those at the school. They were reaching out to the public. What should we do? What would you prefer? And of course, I had no problem. It was going to be hybrid. And I thought that was vitally important for my grandson because he needed a teacher contact. He didn't care about his friends. That wasn't the most important thing. It was the teacher. So I needed to make sure he had some teacher time. And then the online will just go fine again.
In thinking about all of these concerns and all the ramifications of COVID and what it's meant to society and all that, knowing that the state had to put some things in place and make some decisions immediately to address it, do you feel like the state then pushed back some things that you felt like state government ought to have focused on in 2020 instead?
When it came time to deal with COVID, all hands down. We had to do it. We had to do it fast. And we had to maybe step on some people's rights a little bit just because we're looking at the whole community as a whole, meaning the state of Minnesota. They really had to focus on all the people, not one group or another. So I think they did a good job at that.
And do you feel like it will impact things moving forward? Even let's say in 21, there is some sort of move to make things better, if it's a vaccine, or it's hard to tell at this point, but let's just say that things do change and get back more towards normal. Do you feel like the state can then move forward and focus on things, or were they still going to be picking up and cleaning up this that this is created?
I think we will be working on this for a long time. And even if we get a vaccine for it, that takes time. It takes time after people are vaccinated for it to really do what it's supposed to do. And I think so many things were hit upon, and we needed to act, and it's just not going to go away. We're going to continue to deal with a lot of things for a long time, and we may never get back to the normal that we once had.
So as a State House representative, what would you hope to be able to accomplish in that role, knowing all of this that we've just kind of laid out here? What would you hope to be able to accomplish in that regard?
I really feel that the financial end of it is probably the most important. And then making sure all of the issues that we have, the health care, the affordability, our transportation, the economic security with jobs and that, education, a big one. But all of that is going to have to be rolled together and worked on. It may never get back to what it was, but we need to continue to work on each area and see what we can do for the master plan, and always be prepared. This is the first time America has been hit hard like this, for so many years since the plague and stuff and that, and it just, things like this may happen more often. We don't know.
Saying that, and that's not I don't feel like it's an over dramatization. You're right. A calamity of some kind could tax states and the federal government of money and resources. Some say let's dip into reserves to help shore up the state budget and get it back going. It's a rainy day fund, and this has been a rainy day. That's what some say. but some would say, let's not use all of it because,
Right.
as you just said, there could be another tragedy, or there could be another virus,
yeah.
or there could be something else down the line. How does the state manage that? Dig out of a hole, but also think we've got to be smart about digging out of a hole.
Yeah. We have to continue to look at where resources can come from. And that's a hard thing because nobody wants another penny out of their pocket. But we do need to have a planned financial plan that will work and will sustain us. And I think that's the most important thing, is to be able to sustain us in the future. And we may have to pull money from here or there, or we may have to look at another way to get money. We can't just think federal government's going to provide it. And Minnesota's always been good at taking care of their money. You know, we had a good reserve. And, you know, that's because of the hard work that people have done in the past. And I'm hoping that even though we have to spend down on the reserve some to get things in place, I'm hoping that we can keep a reserve there, because that allows us to continue to provide what the citizens need all the way into the future.
I'll get you out of here with this question. You've run for this office before. You've run against Representative Barr before.
Right.
Is there anything different this time? Have you noticed things in the, was it 4 years since, or have you learned more about specific issues, or have you heard different conversations in that time that led you to want to run again?
You know, I do have to say the passing of his wife was a big thing, and I'm sure that affected him very much. And you know, I commend him for keep going forward. It's hard when you lose a family member. I chuckle a little because he's not always gone the way his party wanted him to go, and I don't agree with him a lot of times. I have found common ground that I do agree with him, you know. But to me, sometimes the craziness of some of his ideas, which he probably doesn't think is crazy, but I think that has gotten him into trouble. You know, and he's tried to be a standalone guy that can move forward and be proactive to whatever's going on. But it doesn't always work that way when you're in the confines of a party. You know, and I think that's not been real great for him. You know, and I think well, you know, when he first ran, he said to me, he says, you know, I don't believe in staying in office forever. You know, there should be term limits. And I'm thinking, he's been in office a couple times now. And in my mind, okay, Cal, is it time for you to move on? You know, and I guess I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, we will leave it there then. Very
All
good.
right.
Sue, thank you very much for being here.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.